Hey, 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 talk your shit, K. It's another episode of Say It Loud, y'all. You know what to do. Get your wine and your wine glasses. Get your Henny and your shot glasses. Get your mixed drinks if that's what you're doing tonight. For those of y'all that ain't fucking with me, I get you. You're on quarantine with Rona. Go ahead and brew some tea. Get your lavender, your chamomile, or whatever you need. Sit back, relax, and enjoy another episode of Say It Loud, y'all. Let's go. So welcome to another episode of Say It Loud, y'all. So let me start off by saying that I gave a lot of thought to this episode, and I was like parked in neutral for a minute because, as you know, I am always inspired to talk to you guys about things in life based on the current events that are happening in our lives and situations that inspire me to spark a conversation. And so the first thing that came to my mind this week in the last few days were the murders of the two unarmed Black men in America. And I didn't know whether or not to talk about it on the show because I always feel like this is the fuckery, and we have a good time and we shoot the shit and everybody feels good and I pour a drink and, I toast it up with y'all and have a good time. But I didn't want to do that this week. I really felt like this was a topic that we needed to talk about. And not only did we need to talk about it, but I wanted to talk about it from my perspective. So I apologize if you came today for the fuckery and the bullshit and the good time. I can try my best to build that in there. But for the most part, I felt like this was something that we needed to give voice and not just for me as a woman, but for our children, for our men, for our families. And it was really important for me that once I had a platform and I had a voice, which is the whole point of Say It Loud. It means to say something, and if you're going to say it, then you might as well fucking say it loud. For me to once I had a platform that I can share what I'm thinking and what I'm feeling with you guys and people are listening, then use that platform for some good. That's what I'm supposed to be doing. That is what my calling is. So with that said, we're going to talk about what we need to talk about this week because it affects all of us. All right. So for today, get your hot tea, pour yourself a shot, sit down. Let me just build with you for a second because I think there's some things we need to talk about. All right, let's go. Sweet Vibrations is the official sponsor of the Say It Loud Hoe Bag. Yes, they are. If you didn't know, Sweet Vibrations is an adult boutique that delivers innovative lifestyle products and embraces the taboo of sexual wellness instead of hiding it. Simply put, they inspire each and every one of us to embark on our own sexual wellness journey. Whether it's the girl's best friend, a little pixie, the perfect match, or tulips, there's something for everyone. And you deserve something sweet. So visit their website at www.sweetvibe.toys. Use our Say It Loud discount code, LOUD, LOUD, for discounts. Follow them on Facebook and Instagram at Sweet Vibrations. I mean, ladies, we all deserve a good vibe. So let me start out by saying a couple things, right? I got to put my disclaimer out there for y'all, for people that are listening. I'm not going to go too hard on this because I don't want to be a Debbie Downer and bring everybody down. But let me just go into it really quickly so that y'all can just think about a couple things that I'm thinking about. But let me give you my disclaimer. Number one, okay, in no way do I feel, and I could be wrong, but no way do I feel that I am racist or I don't like any other type of people. I personally don't feel that way about myself, all right? So if I'm talking today and it feels like you're being targeted, you're not, all right? I am the Rainbow Coalition, if you have not seen my children. So I don't want anyone to feel that way. I tend to think I'm a comedian, and we all joke and we all fall into the stereotypes of laughing at the jokes, and I do that shit. I do that. But so I just want to say that disclaimer. Just because I'm pro-black doesn't mean I'm anti-white. That's not how that works. But we do have a situation going on in America right now, and I needed to speak to it from the perspective of a Black woman. I am a daughter. I am a mother. I am a sister. I am a friend. And hopefully one day I will be a wife. To all of those positions in my life are to Black men, right? My father, my brother, my son, my friends, and one day my partner. Who knows, right? I don't know who that'll be, but who knows? And so I feel from the perspective of a woman that yes, it affects us. It affects us. There are people, there are men, there is an alarming rate for the African-American male, it's happening to women too, to be gunned down and killed in the United States of America for whatever reason. And I'm not going to target just the police. I'm going to say for whatever motherfucking reason by whoever. African American and Latino men have the highest homicide rate in the United States of America. Okay? And I know what they're going to say first, but y'all killing each other. We need to work on that, people. We need to work on that because we cannot kill each other and then be surprised when other people kill us, right? We teach people how to treat us as a people and as a person. The same thing, the same relationships I talk about in my show is the same relationships that apply to the world. And so the way you treat somebody else, the way we treat each other as a culture and as a people is the same way people are going to look at us and treat us. That's my honest opinion. And so if we are gunning each other down, if we are disrespecting our women, we can't expect somebody else to come in and provide that for us. That's the same way it is if you're in a relationship with a man or a woman and you're disrespecting your partner. You can't expect somebody else to come. Your friend's not going to have respect for them if you don't. Right? It's the same concept. So we as a people need to nurture and take care of each other and protect each other. But that doesn't give the rest of the world or other people the right to just take life away, that to just straight take life away and be like, you know what, it doesn't matter. I have to tell you, when I read the article, I saw the news, I'm on the social media, I have to be very honest with you guys. I was like, yo, I'm tired. I'm tired of hashtags. I'm tired of t-shirts. I'm tired of marching. I'm tired. What else is it going to take for something to change? What is it going to take? Like, what is it going to take for us to realize that everything that we're doing still is not making a difference? I'm motherfucking tired. I'm tired. This was crazy. My son is 10 years old. I had to sit down and have some hard conversations with my son because he was watching the news and he was like, Mom, what happened? And I had to explain to him. And he was like, well, why? And I was like, I don't know. And this is not the first time, the second time, the third time, the fourth time, the fifth. Like, it's just an ongoing thing. It seems to me, in my opinion, to be getting worse. And then we could dive into politics. But I don't really like talking about politics or religion with people because I end up losing friends over that shit. But the reality is that as a Black woman, yes, I was reading something on Instagram where a woman was like, her husband got pulled over. He's an essential worker. He got pulled over by the cops and they was interrogating him. Where are you going? Why are you going? And mind you, this man was going to work for 5 o'clock in the morning because he had to be there. But it was just like the way you're treated when you're doing the right thing or when you're doing the wrong thing. Either way, the circumstances for our men are 100 times worse than anybody else. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. At what point is it going to stop? At what point is it going to end? At what point are we going to look at life and start all over again? Because this is crazy. This is mothers having to have hard conversations, mothers and fathers having hard conversations with their sons. This is wives kissing their husband goodbye and don't know if they're coming back. This is people sitting in their house playing video games and still getting shot. This is crazy. This is absolutely crazy. Even in the situation we're in right now with quarantine and watching the news and seeing what's happening to people of color versus people who live in different neighborhoods and different zoning areas. This is crazy. You cannot tell me that, life is not the way we see it, because it's playing out right in front of us. It's playing out right in front of us. And you don't want to say like, okay, this isn't racism, it's classism, it's sexism, it's this, it's that. What it is it's an ongoing motherfucking problem. It is an ongoing problem that people of color have to be afraid every day in every situation. It's an intimidation that people of color live with, whether they know it or not. Going for a job, I can't walk myself. I can't talk myself. I can't be who I am. Asking for a loan, going to the bank, the treatment that you get is just different. It's just different in every single aspect of your life when you are a person of color. And this is crazy. It is absolutely crazy. Here we are sitting in a country where we think we're voting for rights. And then you're not realizing that those same rights, and I can get into it because y'all know I'm an educator. Those rights were never written for you. They were never written for you. That was not the intention. We are holding a constitution over our heads and a Bill of Rights over our heads that was never written for the purpose of protecting people of color. How are we as a country still following those same guidelines when the guidelines were never meant to meet the needs of the people? And I know there's people listening to this of all colors. Women, that includes you. The women's suffrage didn't happen until the 1920s. The Constitution was written in 1776. Think about that. Think about that. So even if you're a white woman, even if you're a Karen, I'm a Karen. Even if you're a Karen, it was not written with your best interest at heart. It was not. It took women in jail, mind you, refusing to eat before they can even get the right to vote. And that was still 40 years or so before Black people had the right to vote. Think about those numbers when you think about the time that those things were written and who they were written for and who they were written to protect. And then where we are now. And none of that has changed. None of those documents have changed. Can you imagine that? I was at the African American History Museum in DC this past summer. I drove down there. I took my kids. I was walking through the entire museum, which is a beautiful masterpiece. And if you leave there feeling sad or angry or hurt as you go up the way the museum is designed, you go from the bottom all the way up, then it did its purpose, because you're supposed to feel something when you look at art. And you're supposed to feel something as a Black person when you're in that building with those archives and seeing what things were like. And in one of those documents, it was saying that a Black person is only considered 1/3 of a person. 1/3 of a human being. That's what the document said. I don't know where mathematically that came from. Not a half a person. 1/3 of a person. You are considered 1/3. So for every one white man, we needed 3 Black men. That's what that's saying. You are 1/3 of a human being. Like, how does that equate? Where does that number come from? What scientific notation did you use to come up with a number like that to describe a human being? But this is the same documents and the same writers who now we're upholding and calling the law. How is that possible? How is that possible? How is that justifiable? To me, I don't get it. I don't get it. And clearly, I hope if you're listening to me, you understand how outraged I am, because I really feel like I'm at the point where, you know what, I'm done with, like, I feel like we just need a louder, bigger voice, because I know people are going to be like, well, Karen, what can we do? There has to be a movement so big and so vast, right? And so much buy-in that the powers that be have no choice but to listen. That's what has to happen. Either that or everybody gets guns and everybody gets, you know what I mean? And we can't hide behind, because when everybody's equal, then there will be no hierarchy. That's the only other way. That's the only way I see it, right? You take power away from the people that have the power. That's the only way. We either get all the same power and everybody's on a fair playing ground, or we have to make a movement so big that it does so much damage. And I don't necessarily mean kill people. I'm talking about economically, whatever that case may be, that your voice has to get heard and your power becomes stronger. Because right now, as these men are dying in the street. These men are dying in the street. Like, it's crazy that people are kissing their husbands goodbye, kissing their sons goodbye, and they're walking out the house and you don't know if they motherfucking gonna come back. That's crazy to me. That is crazy to me. That's crazy that we have to tell little brown and black boys when they go outside to be careful, because if you have anything that looks like a BB gun, somebody might kill you. That's crazy to me. That is the world that we're living in. This isn't the 1960s. This isn't the 1950s. There's no more segregation, yet somehow people are still dying at an alarming rate. And it's men and women, but I'm talking about the men today. But I know that there's women too. That the value of life for people of color doesn't mean anything. It doesn't mean anything. When they wanted to build in the middle of the Indian reservation, they just said, fuck it, move them. No care in the world to what it meant to them or to their land or to their communities or any of that stuff. Like, fuck it, we'll just take it. Like, how are we still living in Christopher Columbus times that nobody cares? And I can make this a whole deeper issue where it's just like, yo, why are you calling me African American? You don't even call any other person that comes from anywhere else any name like that. European American is not a thing, but African American is a thing. I don't even get that. That's like a pet peeve of mine. Like, I don't mind being called African American, but how come nobody else got a name like that? How come nobody else is singled out in that kind of situation? Because let's be realistic. If you're talking about homegrown Americans, then it would be the Indians. They was here first. But nobody from Europe considers themselves a European American. We don't have that box. I don't know. I just wanted to go on a rant because I feel like there's something needs to be done. The entire system that we are in and that we are living in is killing off our people. And, it for me, it's a scary thing, because I do feel invested, and I do have empathy, and I do have sympathy, and I do see it over and over and over again. And I just feel like, there's t-shirts and there's hashtags and there's hats and there's marches, but nothing's changing. People are still dying with no explanations, with not a care in the world for nothing that makes sense. They're not being prosecuted. You know what I mean? Oh, well, we're going to put those two guys in jail. Let me tell you something. Had this not come out to the media, those two men would have not been in jail. They hadn't been in jail to this point. It's a media outcry, and it's because Georgia had to do something why they went ahead and arrested those men. They should have been arrested immediately following that. The man who took the video, why you didn't call 911? If you saw something immediately. You understand what I'm saying? So I feel like the only reason we've gotten even this far in this particular case for this particular gentleman is because of the outcry of media. Because and then I started thinking, and I know I'm ranting, I'm all over the place, but I'm gonna let y'all go. This is gonna be real quick, 20 minutes. But what happens in the situations over time where there was no cameras present? What happened? Because imagine how many men and women we have lost because there was no cameras. Because there was no one the world is changing, and now everybody got a camera in their pocket. They got audio in their pocket. But what happens at the times that we didn't have that? It wasn't streaming live. There was no video. Nobody had a phone. Can you imagine the number of people that we have lost over time, and there was no record of it? So it just went away and they just disappeared and nobody ever knew. Can you imagine that? Can you imagine that mother? Can you imagine that wife? Can you imagine that sister? Can you imagine that daughter? Because ladies and gentlemen, that's who the fuck we is. That's who we are. It's a sad, sad situation with the state of affairs that people's lives, it just doesn't mean anything. And I don't know the specifics. I don't know because I don't indulge too much in the specifics of it. All I know is that it feels like every couple of months, this is the situation we're in. And there's an uproar and there's noise, and then it dies down and it goes away. Look at Trayvon Martin's parents. They lost their son who was walking to the store in the complex where his dad lived. And that man got away with it. And he got away with it. The police told him, stand down. You don't need to do nothing. Relax. The kid is just walking on the phone with his girlfriend. And there's no recourse. There's no recourse. Are you kidding me that child's life didn't mean anything? This man jogging, I don't know what he was doing, but a shotgun? Really? A trained officer going to shoot you with a shotgun? Everybody knows if you shoot somebody in the knee or you shoot them in the shoulder, it will stabilize them. You didn't have to kill him. You know and have been trained as a police officer how to take somebody down without killing them. I know that for a fact. There's more, and there was 3 of you guys there. You mean to tell me you just couldn't wrestle him to the floor? Not to say that makes it okay, but he wouldn't be dead. This is crazy to me. This is absolutely crazy. I just want to say that as a community, we need to come together. And we need to really assess how we treat ourselves and how we treat each other, because that has a lot to do with what the rest of the world sees. That's 1. 2, we have to make our movement so big and our dollars so strong, because I don't think it's just enough to yell and scream at this point. It is coming together and saying, you know what, these are the things that we have to do and boycott and stop, so that people can feel it not just in a physical sense, but in an economic sense, because that's how America works. The same people that say they don't want you doing things are the same people that send you money so you can go out and spend, because they know we're going to spend our dollar, right? And we need to make decisions on how we're going to raise our children and and as women, how we're going to protect our men. And it doesn't matter, again, what race it is, because there's people of color are so many different colors. The point is that when the color of 2 people is not the same, it does not give us the right to take somebody's life away. It does not allow that child to grow up without a father or a mother, to not be able to go home to her child. It just doesn't. Routine traffic stops should not end with dead people. Like, it just doesn't make any sense. And it feels like it's getting bigger instead of getting smaller. And it feels like the world is moving backwards instead of moving forward. I was in Virginia 2 years ago, 2 years ago, I think, when they were burning stuff on a college campus. Like, are you serious? That's what we're doing in 2018, 2019, 2020. That's what we're doing. We're still doing those things. At what point is this going to change? At what point? Because and for me, when I think about racism, all I think in my head, and I could be wrong, and again, this is a feel-good show, but right now I have to get this out because I have a platform to do it, and we need to think about this, and we need to think about life, and we need to think about futures. Because I personally think in the future, everybody's going to be mixed. Everybody's mixing with everyone, and the world is changing, right? But when I think about racism, and I think about America, I also think like, yo, America is built on the fact that people come here to build a better life. That is the hashtag. That is the slogan of America. You come here to build a better life. So why is it like, well, certain people could build a better life and certain people could be here and certain people can't be here? If you really go back, none of us was here. None of us own this motherfucker. None of us here. The Native Americans was here when Christopher Columbus got here. And he didn't even know where the fuck he was going. Right? Then they're like, well, black people could be here if they come and work for us, but if they don't come and work for us, they can't be here. Like, you can't do that. You can't do that. That's over. And so at what point are we going to realize that that's over? That's over. That's been over. Is there always going to be a suppressed society within this? Is it going to be like, yo, I came from Europe, so I'm entitled to boss everybody around, and then everybody else is a lower classman? Is that how this is going to work for the rest of the United States of America? At what point is that going to change? While we're talking about the deaths of these two men, and that's what I'm particularly talking about, I'm not just saying for them, I'm talking about for everybody. Because people think, well, okay, well, you're just talking about Black people. No, there's a Hispanic, Puerto Rico suffering, and it's part of the United States. What the fuck? How is that possible? You're letting a community within your own country. I mean, granted, we also had a president that said let the states go bankrupt, but whatever. That's not even helping your part of your own country because they don't care enough to do that. Are you serious? I don't understand how we have made this. And so while we're thinking like, oh, it's just white people and Black people that have an issue, no, because people of other minorities have also been put in little pockets. Let's talk about it because it's true. They've also been put in their little pockets where they can only thrive in the areas where people allow them to thrive. That's still, it's not just racism, but it's also an economic thing. It's a socioeconomic thing. Like, we could get real deep into it, right? So now the other people that have come to America, you can be here, but you can only do this here. You can only sell hair. You can only sell this kind of food. You can only do and be in only certain neighborhoods, but you can't do other things. So it's happening in other communities. They might not be dying at the same rate, but it's happening. And so, at the top of my head, it's like, yo, I got to sit and I got to have conversations with my kid who's 10 years old. And I have to kind of explain the ways of the world to a child who doesn't understand the world quite yet, who doesn't understand racism, who doesn't understand sexism, who doesn't understand classism, who doesn't understand these things, but whose shoulders will then have to carry them at some point because they are a child here in the United States of America and they are a Black child here in the United States of America. So I know we talk about relationships on this show. I know we talk about, how that works, but when we step out of our house, everybody that we interact with we have a relationship with at some level or another, how we interact with them. And we got to teach our kids because we have to protect them. We have to teach our kids because we have to protect them. Women who listen to my show, I know a lot of times, let's get into the relationship part. I know a lot of times we tend to beat our men down. I don't approve of it. We tend to beat them down. We cannot do that. We need to uplift them. We need to help them grow. We need to protect them. And I'm not saying take the L for no dumb shit. I'm not saying that. But I'm saying that the world is so hard for a man of color outside. It don't matter what color he is. Outside of your home, that your home has to be a place of refuge and softness and safety. Now, if he's beating the shit out of you, I'm not talking about that. That's not safe. Get out of there. I'm talking about just the everyday, day to day. Make sure he gets out. Make sure he gets back in. And we need to think about that mentality, because if it's hard for us and it's hard for our children, then imagine how hard it is for him. Day to day, no matter what he does for a living, no matter who he does, like, come on, there's bus drivers getting spit on. Like, we have to really understand the level of respect that people have out there for anybody, but particularly for the man who really is sought after, right? Who is the fear. And kind of turn that image around and make it healthy and prosperous, because it is. It is. The fact of the matter is that, yeah, we're kings and queens. We just kings and queens in the wrong motherfucking place. And so we have to grow up into wherever that situation is and allows us to be. And we're very capable of doing that. But in the interim, it needs to start within us, all of us, and then as a community, and then outside the community, so we can grow. So we have to take care of ourselves. We have to take care of our children. We have to take care of our men. And then we have to take care of our community so that we can all grow, right? And this doesn't become a continuous thing here. I don't know how to fix this problem. I really don't know how to fix it. I would go into politics if I knew how to fix it, but I don't. Because if it's up to me, I would say the whole thing needs to be scrapped and we need to start all over again. That's what I would say, that we're living up to false expectations and documents written that don't support any of us, right? Don't support any of the way that people live anymore. Don't support what you got to understand. When those things were written, they were written to protect the wealthy white man who wrote them. That's who was sitting in that room when they wrote all of those things. They were thinking about how they can protect their slave investment, not how to protect the slaves. They were thinking how to protect their homes, not how to protect their wives. They were thinking how to protect the children that they had that were white, not the children that they had that was half black. Okay, I can get into it if you want to, but that's the reality, right? That's the reality. So if it was up to me, I think we need to start all fucking over. We need to start over. You can't hold me to something that was never for me. You can't force me to eat something that you know I'm allergic to. Like, it wasn't for me. And so we have to think about that. And we have to think about that when it comes to the law now, because a lot of times they're taking that same laws and they're flipping it around. And then they're saying, well, I could do a citizen's arrest. You're not a motherfucking cop. You retired. What citizen's arrest for what? What they do? And the same thing that happened with Zimmerman. Well, I stand your ground. They're using the same laws that were used to protect them then. They're using it to protect now. And then telling us, well, it was your fault. It's a sad state of events. It's a sad state of events. I'm sad. I'm saddened and I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't even know who my future husband is, and I'm scared for him. I'm scared as my son, as a black man, I got to sit and have these conversations with a 10-year-old. But that's the reality of life. I've watched the movies. I've read the books. They're not all lies. They're not all lies. A kid take his brush out and is getting killed. Are you serious? People running up into your home and shooting you for no reason? People shooting you in your face and then go, oh, well, it's a closed case. I guess it's going to be a closed case. Like, that's the value of somebody's life. That's somebody's son. That's somebody's dad. That's somebody's child. That's somebody's best friend. It gotta be worth more than that. And we as a people got to treat each other better than that, so nobody else does that. So nobody else mistreats you. We got to treat ourselves better, because we got to teach people how to treat us. All right, y'all. I don't mean to be the Debbie Downer. I don't mean to get in, y'all. But you know what? We talk about relationships here, and we talk about real shit. And part of supporting your man is making sure that you understand what he's dealing with in the world. Part of supporting your child is making sure that they understand what's happening out in the world. And I don't really want to get into it today. We'll talk about education another time. But there is such a thing as a pipeline to prison. It does affect minority males. There are numbers on it. There are documents on it. You could go Google it if you think it's like I'm talking shit to you. It's not. It's not. And the best way to protect somebody is with knowledge. So that's what I'm sharing with you. And that's what I'm offering to you this evening, that you arm yourself with the knowledge that you need to know so that you could protect the people that you love around you and protect them for their sake. All right? We out. How did I bring my dreams alive? Why, with a Anchor podcast, of course. If you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. Let me explain. It's free. There's creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer. Anchor does the hard work and distributes your podcast for you so you can be heard on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, and many more. You can even make money with your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast, all in one place. Download the free Anchor app today or go to Anchor FM to get started. Thank you for joining me for another episode of Say It Loud. I appreciate all the love, the DMs, the messages, the texts. Any way that you choose to engage with me, I appreciate it all. The shout outs, the reposts, it means a lot, especially on the days when I think nobody's listening and you guys are all listening and rooting for me. So I love you. Thank you so much. If you're looking for me, you can find me on social media, Instagram, Twitter, Facebook. I am Karen L. and Say It Loud. If you're looking for our website, www.sayith, loud, L-O-U-D, sayithloud.com for all things Karen L, all things Say It Loud. If you'd like to do a donation, go ahead to the website and click donation. We're definitely taking donations. I need some new equipment. We're growing. And if you want to join our Patreon, you can go to the website, click the Patreon link, and subscribe. YouTube is coming. Yes, there will be a visual added and a couple other projects going on, so definitely look out for that. And if you'd like to book Karen L for whatever, or have her come on to your show, please go to the website, reach out to me. There's a Say It To Me tab. You can go ahead, shoot me an email, and we can discuss it. I would love to come out and bring the energy and bring the vibes to you. Yeah, so thank you all. I'll see you next week.